Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry upper deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. And, well, we got a new intro, our first ever intro for this edition of Scholasticks, for this podcast that is, of course, Scholasticks here on G-Show Productions, on gshow.ca. Shout out to the talented Nico Feniak who produced that gem of a intro for us. Really excited about how that turned out, and yeah, hope you guys and anyone else who may be watching enjoyed it as well. But welcome into the Scholastics podcast, episode 6 here on your home for Winnipeg High School Hockey League hockey coverage on G-Show Productions on gshow.ca. If you're new to the channel here, watching this show for the first time, be sure to consider subscribing, as we produce this podcast weekly, comes out every Friday, and going to be including more interviews here moving forward on this podcast, as I got 2 guests from around the Winnipeg High School Hockey League joining me in this edition of the show. But we're also going to show you highlights in this one. Also want to break some huge news, as we are going to be broadcasting the 2025 Husky Classic starting next Thursday, running until next Sunday. It'll all be at the Hockey for All Center, brought to you by our wonderful sponsors in Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Movement Fitness and Performance, Elite Prospects, Goaltenders, and Terrico. All the games will be available on gshowproductions.uscreen.io. We're going to be releasing the schedule shortly here, sometime throughout the weekend. Stay tuned on our social media feeds on Instagram at gshow_productions, or you can also check out the details on our Uscreen services. We will be posting the games there shortly, as mentioned. And it's going to be exciting because it's not only teams from the male side of high school hockey competing in this tournament, but there's also going to be 2 girls pools as well. So 4 pools for boys teams, and then 2 pools for girls teams. They play some round robin action, and then they get into the playoffs coming up during the weekend, and it's going to be really entertaining. Can't wait to be there to take in all the coverage at the Hockey for All Center. Speaking of a team that ended up coming away with their first tournament win of the season in terms of capturing the gold at a tournament, the Springfield Sabres at their own tournament, the one they host, the Springfield Homecoming Tournament, they were able to go undefeated, running the table to end up securing this year's championship. And their head coach, Brent Hobday, joins me to talk about that and how he ended up being head coach, taking over for Severin Warjek, as he's been head coach for the past 15 years. Brent taking over for the first time in a very long time as a newer head coach for the Springfield Sabres. He has some experience before, but it's his first time coaching in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, and first year being with the Springfield Sabres. And I had a chance to have a great conversation with him a few nights ago. Take a listen now on this edition of Scholastics on G-Show Productions. Brent Hobday, head coach of the Springfield Sabres, joining this edition of the Scholastics podcast. Brent, we had a conversation just before we went live here talking about how you've taken over for Severin Wojcik, who's been head coach for this team for the past 15 years. How'd it come to be for you to get the position to become head coach of this year's Springfield Sabres squad?
I don't really know when Seb decided that he was going to take a season off, and but when that did, Seb and I have been friends for a while, and I have a coaching background, so I think when that happened, he asked if I was interested, and at that point, I had already thought about applying for a few AAA teams, but when Seb approached me, it made a lot more sense for me um, to coach in Oakbank, where I live, instead of driving to who knows where
Right.
for some other team.
Yeah, for sure. And in AAA hockey and many of the high levels here in the province, yeah, quite a bit of travels. So, I mean, in that aspect, yeah, you made the right call. But take us through the coaching background that you had heading into this season.
Um, so I've coached, for probably the last 15 years. Um, a lot of it was, coaching my kid growing up and stuff. And then when I was too old to coach my son, then I did a few years at U13 AA in East Mountain, and then did I think 3 years at U15 AA, and oh geez, I've I can't remember the rest of it now, but
Oh, no worries.
over the years now it takes me back to 12 or 12 or 13 years of coaching, so it flies by. I enjoy it.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, I mean, no fault to you not being able to remember all the exact details, but just to sum it up, a long history, a long background for you to, step up and become the head coach this year of a Springfield Sabres team that, of course, started off, the season, I guess, a few exhibition games in, but going into the homecoming tournament, this team ends up running the table, bringing home a championship. Take me through what that was like experiencing a run like that so early here in your coaching tenure in Springfield.
Yeah, it was extremely cool. Like our exhibition games were exactly that. Like we didn't have our roster finalized yet, and like any exhibition game, you're sitting a lot of veterans and stuff. So um, this is the first time we really had our team together, and it was a short tournament, 3 games, but we won the first game against the Red Lake team that was looked pretty good actually um, early on, and then maybe that 6 7 hour car ride kind of caught up with them, because the last half of the game we took it to them pretty good, and I forget the final score, but we beat them by, I want to say, 5 or 6 goals, and then yeah, then we had 2 games on the Saturday. We beat I believe it was oh
Murdoch,
geez, was it
Murdoch,
Murdoch?
right?
Okay, there we
Yeah,
go. Sorry, Murdoch.
no, no
Yeah, in
worries.
the first game, and they gave us a good battle, but got by them, and then we knew we were going to be playing Béliveau. They're a Division 1 team, and we're Division 2 in the finals. So our boys were really excited about that, and Béliveau came out really strong. They were up 2-0 fairly early, and then I think after that first period, we told the boys, like, you guys got to really dig deep on this one. We were playing a pretty strong team, and they responded excellent. Like we really took it to them the last 2 periods of that game. It was fun. The rink was packed too, and it was a great atmosphere.
Yeah, and I was actually following along on social media, seeing the things you guys were posting, the post game type of activities too, with player on player interviews. Take me through that. Is that something that's been a part of the program before, or something that's new since you've stepped in?
I don't know. It could have been a part of the program last year, but it's the boys have a lot of fun with it, with the player of the game, and then doing the interviews afterwards. And the first game, I think there was actually couple of our students had like a recorder and stuff, and did a real interview. And then the last two games, the boys had the butt ends of their stick, in the as make believe microphones, and it's they're having a good time, which is great.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, those are the types of things you're gonna remember looking back playing on a team, right? I mean, outside of the success or, maybe the struggles, it's about making those memories, right, with those players that are in that dressing room among them. But, there were some statements too after that first game. A player in Caden Bazinet saying this team was going all the way, of course, being able to back it up in that tournament. Like you said, facing off against a Division 1 team this year in College Béliveau in the finals. To see the team be able to come back from 2-0 against a program that's looked at as such a quality program to be able to move up a division from B to A. How proud does that make you to see this team being able to finish it off the way they did in the gold medal game?
Extremely proud. I being new to the league, I don't know how big the difference is between A, B, and C, but in our case, we lost a lot of grade 12 kids from last year, which put us in the B division, which is probably right. So when you play a Div 1 team like Béliveau, and then I know they had some AAA kids that were playing on that team, makes you feel really good. They made our boys feel really good. They use that as motivation going into that game. And Béliveau played good. Like they they took it to us, like I said there for the first period, pretty well. And our boys responded and managed to get four unanswered.
Yeah, pretty sweet way to end things off, especially since it was Springfield's, of course, host tournament, the homecoming tournament, an annual event, of course, that it should be a lot of fun to see what goes down there again next year. But for this team, won't be starting the regular season up until next week on Tuesday against the Calvin Clippers. Like you said, this team going down from A or going to be down from A from last season, of course, playing into that is, of course, the loss of the experience and talent from last year compared to this year. But since you've been able to step in as head coach, what can you tell us about this year's Springfield Sabres team that could get some of the fans, the viewers here excited to come see them in the B division this year?
It's like I went and saw quite a few games last year. I knew a lot of the kids playing, and the offense on last year's team was incredible. I mean, they had a bunch of grade 12s and a lot of highly skilled grade 12s at that. So they could win a game, 10-9. This year's team is not going to be like that. We have a lot of grade 10s, a lot of grade 11s, only a few grade 12s. We're not going to score and win games in a shootout like that. So for us to have success, we're going to have to really focus on defensive hockey, getting the puck out, um, playing excellent positionally in our own end, and then just our forecheck has got to be relentless. Like we have a fairly quick team, I think. A lot of our kids skate really well, and it's just in that tournament when we forechecked the way that I was asking them to, there was a lot of turnovers, and we capitalized off a lot of those chances. And then special teams too. Like I feel like our power play, we have enough talent there. That's our a couple of lines of power play that can definitely do some damage. Um, so I have high hopes going into the year for sure.
Oh, no doubt about that. And gonna get going right away coming up next week with back-to-back matchups. We're actually going to be broadcasting the Wednesday game next week against Notre or at Notre Dame Arena
At
against
Notre Dame, yeah.
College Louis Riel. But in terms of you coming in, your coaching style, how would you say it kind of fits this year's Springfield Sabres in terms of how it'll gel with the players out there?
I think any good coach has got to adjust his style to whatever team he's given that year or whatever team he picks. So, um, like I said before, like it is a younger team. I got to teach these kids, as much as I can. Like some of these kids are coming from double A hockey and single A hockey where they might not have been taught systems that I'll be running. So Um, our practices at the beginning of the year are a lot of systems based, and once we kind of get those in place, I think we're going to be a tough team to beat. So
Yeah, and starting off against some quality opponents as well. Of course, Louis Riel, they ended up winning the Price Division last year. They move up. Calvin was in the quarterfinals last year in the Winnipeg Free Press Division playoffs. And then Gabrois, a team that, is usually a pretty solid B Division squad. How huge is that to start off the season, the regular season, when we get to play the real games against quality opponents to see where the measuring stick may be here early in the season against those quality teams.
yeah, I'm looking really forward to it. I know Gabois a little bit because we played them in exhibition, and they're a much different team and they were in the tournament as well too. So I saw saw them play a few times then. They're a much better team than they were when we saw them early on in the season. They got some quality players back that they didn't have in that exhibition game. So I'm expecting them to be quite good. I know they have good coaching. I know the coaches over there. As far as the other two teams, like I don't being new at this, I'm gonna have to rely on Sev to give me the scouting report on these other teams. But I I feel our kids are gonna be ready for next week. Like we have three practices this week and I think a dry land as well. So um we're preparing, as best we can. And I know the kids are excited about the next Wednesday at Notre Dame when you're going to be there.
Yeah, and excited to see the Sabres team in action. Should be a lot of fun down in Notre Dame. And of course, Brent Hobday is going to be behind the bench this season for all of it. First year head coach for the Springfield Sabres with a lot of experience coming in. Brent, enjoy your time down in Toronto, by the way. Great for you to connect with us from there, and can't wait to see your team in action come next week.
Go Blue Jays tonight. Thanks, Graham.
And Brent Hobday joining this edition of the Scholasticks podcast, the official Winnipeg High School Hockey League podcast, as we take a look at his Springfield Sabres. Them and Dakota, the only two teams that have yet to play any games, as we take a look at the upcoming schedule. As Dakota is going to be in action this week, but still Springfield going to be in action coming up next week for the Sabres, who very impressive homecoming tournament performance for them. A 9-0 win over the Red Lake squad, able to win 6-2 over Murdoch McKay, and then down 2-0 against the College Béliveau Barracudas, able to score 4 unanswered to secure that homecoming gold medal. And for them, a team that was in the A division last year, now down to the B division, as was talked about. As speaking of the College Béliveau Barracudas, well, opposite for them compared to the Springfield Sabres, the team that, as mentioned, lost to the Sabres in that homecoming tournament final. But for Béliveau, what I was referring to in terms of the opposite of Springfield is they were in B division last year and got bumped up to A division this year. And it's always a blast getting to talk with their head coach in Miguel Marcoux, a coach that told us that there's quite a lot of experience coming back to the College Béliveau Barracudas this season. I had a chance to talk to him about their roster, about just how some things have changed and for the better for him in his life, and much more on this edition of Scholasticks, the Winnipeg High School Hockey League podcast. But first, we're going to hit you with a commercial break from Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. Miguel Marcoux is going to be joining the show next. Stay tuned. Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. Well, it's been a while since I've had a chance to interview this guy, Miguel Marcoux, head coach of the College Béliveau Barracudas. Miguel, quite a bit has changed in your personal life since the last time I've seen you. I mean, maybe you've had kids at the time, but before we ended up getting
Yeah,
going, you had to put the little man to bed. You said you're now the head coach of this squad, taking over for Scott Costin a few years ago, and you even got my uncle on your staff now as your video guy. Take me through how life's been as the new bench boss of Béliveau.
yeah, it's been a different kind of busy. I mean, hockey's been hockey for me for the last 11 years coaching this team, but with the added addition of kids in my life, I was 20 minutes late for this meeting because the little man, the 2-year-old, wouldn't go to bed, but we're here.
There you
So I
go.
mean, it's been a lot of, you got to manage your time, right? So my time is distributed very differently now. Obviously, between my work as a teacher and coaching this team and being a parent, which is first and foremost, is it's been different. It's been a lot, but I will say I've got a very supportive wife who helps me and allows me to do all the things that I do, and so I'm very grateful for her help as well. But it's been very different the last time we saw each other. That's for sure.
For sure. And hey, shout out to your wife holding things down and allowing you to continue to do everything you enjoy doing, right? And I mean, being the head coach of this program, they really haven't missed a beat throughout the years. I mean, a Final Four appearance last year, obviously falling short of that championship series after a thrilling three-game series win over the Calvin Clippers. And even before that, years ago, this team ended up winning a championship before COVID, and then a few years later, being able to make it into a championship series. So, given all that context over the years, how much pride does it truly give you that you've still been able to have this team operating and clicking the right way?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it starts with team culture, which is, creating that positive environment for the kids who want to come to hockey and are proud to wear the jersey and represent the school, and just the way we do things. We work hard for everything we earn, and it's about maintaining a standard, and it's something that once you're on the team, it's something you learn quickly. We've always made sure to instill that the vets on our team are the ones who are going to be the culture carriers, to make sure that there's continuity within the team, within the goals. I mean, the objectives from year to year. You want to make sure you win the last game of the year, to call yourself a champion. But only 3 teams in our 40-team league get to do that, and so
Right.
it's always about shooting for the top and what it takes to shoot to the top. And like I said, the biggest thing for me, since I've been head coach, is to just kind of continue with culture carrying and just making sure that it's something that the kids want to be a part of, and in doing so, that future kids who come to our school and or out of feeder schools, they want to be a part of it too. And so once you get that going, the ball kind of rolls on its own. And I've had great group of kids over the years, and it just makes it easier and easier to come back every time, honestly.
Right, and honestly, a kind of crazy thing ever since I've started following what's kind of going on in this league was when I was back in school and seeing that this Belleville program had started up again. And since then, like just following this team, it's been pretty consistent throughout. And still adding to it, you've added some new members to your coaching staff throughout the years. I know a few years ago you've been able to add my Uncle Mark as the video coach. Can you take me through that, looking to add in that area? Is that also part of, just looking to better this program, looking at ways to get better in different ways with that new aspect?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really all about giving the kids providing as many resources as we can, and finding the right people to do that. So, in the last couple of years, we've incorporated a personal trainer. His name's Travis Krawchuk. He's fantastic, who does workouts with the kids once a week in the school gym. It's just another way to keep them active, keep them conditioned, and he does such a good job of having them compete against each other too in a different setting, which is also good for them. And then, like you said, adding, I actually didn't know he was your uncle until literally just now, so that's kind of crazy.
There you go. Small world,
But
right? Yeah.
but Mark has been such a fantastic addition to our coaching staff because he has, I mean, you would know, obviously, he has a ton of experience within the game. And he is just a wizard with video on hockey, and he communicates with us all the time. So we have consistent game plans, and like, you should see, I don't know if you've ever seen his videos, but you should see what he does. And like, he like circles things, there's arrows, it's the most like visual thing, and kids love it because it's
Yeah.
so easy to see what we're saying. Instead of drawing it up on the board, they just get to see themselves do it in the game, and they fully understand, like, oh yeah, that was me, I was in position, that's why this happened, or I was out of position, that's why this happened.
Yeah.
And it's been really great, and he's been even taking it the extra mile too. So uh, it depends on the schedule, but once a week or twice or once every 2 weeks, whatever, he'll actually come to my classroom, and we'll do a classroom session with the boys. And so they've gotten to know him on a personal level. It's beyond just the fact that he's our video coach. Like, he's Coach Mark now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he is such a valuable tool. Like I said, having, even when you play another team more than once, you kind of get that upper hand in terms of rewatching video. He'll point out things that they do, and it's like, oh yeah, I didn't see that on the bench. So when we prepare for the next game with the next game plan, it's like you feel like you have the advantage. So I am hanging on to him and his resource for dear for a long time, as long as I'm here. Let me tell you that.
Oh, for sure. And the stories I could tell you about him in video, I mean, the one that pops out in my head is when I was 12 years old, he came to watch some of my games that year. I believe I was 13. And then family get together, he's right into business, breaking down film with me, saying you could have done this compared to that. And like you said,
Yeah,
it all makes sense at how he lays it out. Very entertaining to listen to him speak about hockey because, man, like you said, he's pretty much a hockey genius, to sum it up
yeah,
in terms like
yeah.
that. So
He does
yeah,
a good job too, like finding clips of NHL games. Like, if kids are, like, he'll use the Jets for example. A lot of the kids are Jets fans,
yeah,
and if they're not, they should be. But he'll find clips of Jets games and see this is what they did. And the basics are done at the pros too. And for them to see that, it's like, oh yeah, it just kind of makes them reflect a little bit. Like, he's, like you said, hockey genius. That's a good way of putting it.
for sure, for sure. And I mean, for this year's team, the resources they have, quite a bit of talent on paper too, enough to be able to move up from the Winnipeg Free Press division to the top division in Platinum promotions. Teams 1-1 so far. Rougher start to the season than usual, I guess, against Steinbach last week, 5-1 loss. But then going out and defeating last year's Platinum Division finalists, 2-1 today at Keith Bodley Arena. Take us through the start to this regular season for your Béliveau Barracudas.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and so we made our team earlier than usual this year. Usually, when you enter the tryouts, you have to extend a little bit with the anticipation of players deciding between high school and AAA.
Yeah.
That is a pretty common occurrence. But this year, for the first time in my 11 years, there was no involvement in AAA. And so we felt comfortable with the team we had, and so we went ahead and made our team around mid-September. And so we've been together for pretty much a month now. Now it's mid-October, so yeah, it's been a month now. So um, I would just want to start by saying I really like the group of kids that we have this year. We carried over 15 kids from last year, and so our core, if you want to call it that, or I don't know if you can have much of a core in high school considering they come and go so fast, but um, our core is pretty much intact from last year. So 15 kids returned, and we added 5 new players. And I say this all the time to new parents or people who inquire about high school, but the fact that these kids are all friends off the ice, and they were friends before being on this team, just adds so much more
Yeah.
to our team dynamic this year. and I mean, Graham, you would know as a former Béliveau student, like if you could believe, we have one grade 10 this year on the team.
Crazy.
Everyone else is in grade 12 or grade 11, and like coming from a small school, that is unheard of
For sure.
for us. Like
Yeah.
we always have that like six grade 12, six grade 11s, like that 6, 6, 7, 8 split. But this year we're a very veteran team, and so there's a lot of experience on the team this year. We've had a lot of continuity with our game planning and strategies, and I mean, again, your uncle's a big part of that too. And so the learning curve for the new guys has been pretty easy actually, because everyone else already knows, and they coach each other up too. And so instilling game plan and talking hockey with these guys has been very, very easy for us as coaches. Um, so playing in these games, like we are always involved in tight games for whatever reason, whether we're on the winning side or the losing side. But it was even apparent last year when we were in the Free Press division. Every game except for one was within one or two goals, and then in the playoffs we had 5 overtime games. So we love thrills, you know. We play for the fans.
Yeah. I mean, it makes
But
that much more fun, right? So,
exactly. Yeah. I mean, for my own like, you know, cardiac health, I would prefer if we would win by more, but
fair.
it's uh it's been a lot of fun. The kids they learn fast. They're very well I mean, they come from great families, they're well raised, and so they're very respectful, and they're very fun to be around. And I mean, as you know, for yourself too, as a former player, like when you have that good vibe on the team, it makes coming to hockey fun. It makes games fun. You want to compete and play for each other. Like those are all things that like you can't, like they're intangibles that are hard to piece together if it's not already there. And so for us to have that this year is going to allow us to progress very nicely, I find.
Yeah, and having that enjoyment of knowing you're going to enjoy the players you're playing alongside, right? You're right. It makes it that much more enjoyable and infectious to be around a group like that, and to be able to come out to the rink. And I mean, 15 returning players, and I mean, adding on with some rookies, of course. But we had just opened up this interview talking about how basically the growth of the program throughout the years, and how this culture has been established. Looking now, when AAA used to be more of a place where players want to play, and now high school seems to be trending towards that direction of more players who have a chance to play high school, they'll play there. How much more does that say about just how truly strong this culture is built, knowing that players really didn't even take a second look to try for AAA?
Yeah, honestly, it's as somebody who played in the league and now coached in the league, like just it's such a unique experience. Um, just because you go to school with these guys. And I mean, when I was younger, and I'm sure everybody else, like before you get to high school, your teammates are just, you know, community members, and some may or may not be at your school, or you play against your own classmates in some instances. But in high school, like your teammates are your friends, they're your classmates. Sometimes you have like literally you have the same class as them, or you see them in the CAF, or you guys are on other sports teams at school. Like you represent the same team, and no matter what sport you play. And so there's so much positives that come into that, and it's just a vibe at school. You know, like when you win a game, people talk about it. When you lose a game, people talk about it, and it's like it's kind of fun because like at our school, it feels like everyone cares about
Yeah.
how our sports teams do, and so it's fun to be a part of that because kids see that and they're like, "Man, I want in on that. Like that looks fun." And the fact that you get to see your teammates and buddies every day, all year, um, and the fact that you don't have sports on the weekend or whatever, like kids, you'd be surprised to know like kids love like having a job and working and having money on the weekends. Like there's so many advantages to playing high school hockey, and a lot of kids over the years, like kids that I've had come play on our team that came from AAA, said like this is the most fun I've ever had, and I just really enjoyed having like a life and being able to see my friends, have a job, go to school, do my homework, and play hockey all at the same time. It seems like it's so many things to balance, but I don't know. It just seems like it's a good thing for the kids, I find, and they love it. They love the lifestyle. You'd think they'd hate practicing at 6:30 in the morning like we do, but they get used to it, and they enjoy going home after school knowing that hockey's done already, and you have your whole evening to yourself and stuff like that. So you kind of put that out there, and then kids just kind of realize, I think I want to be a part of this, and so it just kind of grows from there. Like I said, once the ball rolls, it rolls on its own. And so for me, like, I haven't had to go out and sell anybody on anything because the kids do it amongst themselves, and that really comes back to having positive culture, positive a positive environment that people just want to be a part of. They hear about it and they want in.
Yeah, and I mean, it just shows you, it speaks for itself, right? The program, and how infectious it's become for players to choose that as that main place to play, right? In high school hockey for college, Béliveau. And speaking of, the fans, we're gonna see a whole bunch of them out at Southdale Community Center, aka I guess the CUDA tank, as you guys like to refer to it as, coming up
Yeah.
against the College Sauve Olympians this Friday, 2 days from now. Take us through what I guess that home opener is going to entail. I assume the events are going to start way before back at the school.
You bet. It's one of the best times of the year at our school. We like to have we have a pep rally at this time of year. We kick off the event by presenting the varsity sports from the fall season that are going on. And so a couple of weeks ago, we had a fantastic event for the volleyball home openers. The gym was packed, the noise was brought, and it was so much fun. And so it's going to happen again. So tomorrow, the girls have their home opener, and so there's going to be a lot of kids attending that. As you remember, like, kids love. Do you remember the pep points from high school?
Yeah,
So
forget those.
we, yeah, so we started using points as, like, like, come support your school in various events and get points for it. And then it's kind of become a thing where kids just like to go because they just want to go. And so I mean, I'm sure you've seen videos of the game 3 last year, but it was packed at Southdale, and we didn't need to use any pep points to get people to come out to support the team, and so it just that was so cool. But for this event here, so we have the pep rally on Friday afternoon. The kids will get introduced in the gym with a light show and fog and all the jazz. It'll be a lot of fun. And then there's going to be the annual teachers and varsity volleyball teams volleyball game. We're just hoping to keep it close this time. We've been getting blown out the last couple of years. But anyway, then it just kind of translated over to the rink. Our home opener has become one of our favorite hockey games of the year at our school. We have a prolonged warm up that Southdale graciously allows us to do. So we have a warm up, we flood the ice, and then after that, there's player introductions. Um, we've had we've had light shows and stuff like that. Like, they've really allowed us to
Yeah.
take it to the next level and make it fun for people to want to come see. And we normally try to schedule with a local school, so like a visiting team that's got a fan base that's very close to us, so they can come to. And we kind of turn it into like a community event. And so we've actually never had a home opener against CJS. This is going to be the first time. It's always been we've played against Bruns a lot over the years. We've played against CSLR before, but CJS is going to be a first, and I know it's going to be electric. Like, I'm actually so happy you're doing this game. It's gonna be so much fun. There's gonna
Oh,
be so many people there, and it's
yeah.
gonna be buzzing in that place.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, just to bring you back to the point of game 3, I was actually supposed, well, we did do an MMJHL game there. I forget what one exactly for the Reals, but show up early. I'm like, why is the parking lot so darn packed? Can't find a
Yeah,
spot. I walk in. Oh, Belvo's playing against Calvin, and you're right. That place was absolutely rocking, and yeah, I mean the passion is just evident throughout that fan base and just throughout this league. And I mean, familiar faces on the other side of CJS, not in terms of the players, but the coaches. Former
You know
Béliveau
it.
students and
You
players
know
you've
it.
even had a chance to coach. You
Yeah.
had a chance to coach against them last year, of course, in the Winnipeg Free Press division. Uh, Talk about things coming full circle. What's that been like?
The first time we played against them last year, 2 years ago, 2 years ago, because we hosted the Francophone tournament at Southdale. That was the first time we played against them. And for me, like on a personal level, for me, like it's pretty cool to be coaching in this league against now former players or former students that I've had. I'm very proud of them for hopping in on this and giving their time, because I mean we all do it. It's all volunteer work for everybody. I mean, no one here gets paid to do anything to coach in this league, and so I'm proud of them for giving back and wanting to give back to the game of hockey. um, Even though it's with a rival, that's another conversation. But I those guys at CGS, those kids are very lucky to have that coaching crew. Those guys are dedicated. They love the game of hockey, and they were fantastic for me as players. I mean, Dom and Alex were both captains. Nathan was a fantastic goalie, and so like those guys are great. I wish them well, just not Friday.
Fair enough. And I mean, rightfully so, right? The bragging rights, all of that on the table to open up
Oh
the
yeah,
season at
oh
home
yeah.
for you guys. I
Dom
mean,
and I talk
we can
hockey
say.
all the time. We
Yeah,
talk all the time about what's going on in the league, and so like I said, wish them well. I love those guys, but just not Friday.
fair enough. Fair enough. And I mean, before I let you go here, Miguel, just got to talk about, I guess, the bounce back you've been able to see from this team from, dropping the first game last Wednesday by a score of 5-1, making it to the finals in the Springfield homecoming tournament, being up in that game and losing. How huge was it heading into such a big game against such a quality opponent in Westwood today to see this team be able to come together and finish the job?
Yeah, so we've been preaching the process for the last couple of weeks, and so today was really one of those things where like we really got to stick to the process and trusting the game plan that we've constructed as a team, because we know it works when we do it. We just have to be more consistent with it, and so kind of like we told the kids today, like the easiest thing you can do in life is quit. And if you quit the process, then that's when you start playing the game differently. You start getting more individual, and it doesn't work. And so, trusting the process was the emphasis for today. And so, even though we had a lot of chances today, we could have scored a few more. And as much as they may have missed chances, they never stopped working to create those chances again. And so that's part of the process. And so the message for these guys was like, don't cheat the game. Like, trust the process, trust your abilities within the process, and everything will be fine. And they prevailed today. And so today was a great example of the process. Trust the process. It works. Trust each other, play with each other, play for each other, and the results will come. You need hundreds of small victories in a game just to win, just to get the one victory in that game. So that's the process. And so for these guys to kind of see it come through like that was outstanding. I'm so proud of them for the way they played today and how they won.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can follow along with that process, keep plugging away like this team did today, I mean, eventually you're going to start getting rewarded with more offense as the season goes along, I'm sure. Head coach of the College Béliveau Barracudas, Miguel Marcoux, joining this edition of Scholastics. Miguel, until Friday, we can't wait for what should be a great one at the Coup de Tank in Southdale Community Center.
Can't wait, Graham. Thanks for having me today. I can't wait for you to experience that on Friday. It's going to be buzzing.
And Miguel Marcoux, head coach of the College Béliveau Barracudas, joining this edition of the Winnipeg High School Hockey League podcast, Scholastics, for episode 6. And can't wait to be at Southdale this afternoon. Like Miguel said, it's quite an eventful day for College Béliveau, and it's going to be really cool to see how the player introductions look, the whole pre-game for Béliveau down at the Coup de Tank, aka Southdale Community Center this afternoon. Puck is going to be dropping for that one at 4:30 p.m. And by the way, Brent Hobday, last thing he said to me was go Jays. Of course, that was on Wednesday night. If you're a baseball fan, Winnipeg High School Hockey League fans, and you've been keeping up with the Blue Jays during this postseason run, you know they were down 2-0 heading into that Game 3, and a huge performance from them. 13-4 win against Seattle, and then an 8-2 win yesterday to tie the series up at 2 apiece. In terms of the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, though, can't wait for playoffs already, but really excited for how this regular season is going to play out. Of course, we got a lot of time before we get to playoff hockey, and in terms of how the intensity has looked even early here in the season, the quality of hockey, the skill that's been on display, it's been really fun to watch throughout these first 2 weeks of the regular season so far. And we got some highlights to show you now, as this first call coming from one of our new announcers in Anthony Bailey in Garden City's 5-4 win, game-winning goal scorer in Marcus Betts working some magic. Check it out.
As Rozalowicz playing it up ahead. Pass now. Betts looking to cut to the middle. A shot. 5-hole scores! Marcus Betts able to make some moves and finding the 5-hole of Finn Bjornsson. And it's 5-3 Gophers with 3:05 left to go here in the third.
And Marcus Betts able to find that puck again through the sticks of the River East defense and able to put that past their netminder. It would end up going on to be 5-3 after that goal from Betts. The Kodiaks would close the gap at the end, getting within one in the final moments of that game, but wasn't enough to defeat Garden City in both teams' first regular season action of the season. As we move on to the next game that we ended up doing this week, and this ended up being the game-winning goal from Carson Bagley in a game up until that point where Lorette was all over the John Taylor Pipers, as it was the Pipers taking on the Scorpions. It was John Taylor's home opener, both teams' season opener, and quite dramatic and quite skilled on the display of the goal that was scored by Carson Bagley. Sorry, take a look. With 10 seconds remaining now, John Taylor just trying to send this out. Held at the point by Lang. No hand pass called. Legal play into the slot. Wide open. Dangle scores! Carson Bagley puts his Scorpions on the board for the first time this season. As we finally see our first goal of this hockey game, 1.6 seconds remaining in the second period of action. And what a move that he's able to put on Edgington, the goaltender for the John Taylor Pipers. As that was the first of 3 goals that were scored by Lorette in a very convincing first win of their season. And hey, if they're able to continue on that type of path where they play that way, that's going to be a tough team to beat this season in the C Division. But of course, a lot of season left. We're not even really into anything yet. We're just getting started here in the season, as some teams' regular seasons haven't even started yet, like Dakota, who will be playing today, but Springfield isn't even playing until next week. In terms of the division that's been the busiest so far, it's probably been the Platinum Promotions division, but as president of the league, Dana Gordon, told me in a conversation one time leading up to the schedule that, yeah, once it's after the Thanksgiving weekend, things are really going to be picking up, and we can't wait to be able to show you all of our coverage that we're going to be covering this month. Of course, we have the Husky Classic coming up next week, and then just taking a look at our game schedule. Unfortunately, yesterday, Dakota's Wi-Fi didn't cooperate with us, so we had to, unfortunately, not do that broadcast, but we are set for John Sauvé taking on Béliveau this afternoon at the Cuda Tank. Game time is going to be 4:30 p.m. because there's going to be a prolonged warm-up as well as player introductions. This is a big event for Béliveau coming up this afternoon. Their home opener in a matchup that could have the makings of a classic. Both teams, huge rivals, going at it with each other. And like Miguel Marcoux said, they've never really played John Sauvé in a season opener or in a home opener, and that is going to become a reality this afternoon. Next week, we're going to have some price division action for you to start off the week. Last year's finalists in the Warren Wildcats taking on the Kildonan East Rivières, and then on Wednesday, we're going to have Springfield taking on, of course, the Louis Riel Voyageurs at Notre Dame Arena, or Notre Dame Rec Center, as it's referred to. And then after that, we're going to get set for our coverage for the Husky Classic. We got about 17 games or so on the schedule. I'm really excited about that, as it's going to be quite a lot of fun down at the Hockey for All Center next week, starting on Thursday. I believe we're going to have games on the PCL rink all day on the first day, moving over to the Flynn rink for the second day, and then, I can't remember off the top of my head what other rinks we're going to be broadcasting in that 4-rink arena. But in terms of the rest of the news we're going to get into today in this episode to finish things off on episode 6 of Scholastics, I'm going to get into standings, stats, as well as past scores and the schedules to end off this week for all 3 divisions in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. You're watching Scholastics for episode 6 here on G-Show Productions on gshow.ca. We'll be back soon. Welcome back to Scholastics. Let's get into standing stats, as well as scores and upcoming schedules for the remainder of this week. And in terms of the past scores and stuff, which, goes into these standings here, affects them in that way, is Steinbach, a strong start to their season, starting off 2-0. Vincent Massey, Sturgeon Heights, and Miles Mack all with opening day wins. St. Paul's the only team that hasn't gotten going yet here in this division, but they'll have their chance today, as they'll be playing at home in their season opener against Steinbach. The regional Sabres looking to stay perfect, of course. Quite an eventful Friday, as there's 3 games to be shown here. Oak Park taking on Vincent Massey, which those 2 teams looked really strong in their first 2 games. Oak Park, of course, being able to come away with a 7-0 win against Shaftesbury, but then losing against Steinbach this past week on Wednesday. So Oak Park looking for a bounce back. Vincent Massey looking to remain perfect in the upcoming games here in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League's Platinum Promotions Division. Is just want to make sure I'm not missing any games here could be on the schedule to finish off the week, as only a triple header today in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League for the Platinum Promotions Division. And in terms of the stats, Vincent Massey dominating this list so far, as they got 4 players in the top 5. Big performances from all in that first game. Taryn Perreault for Steinbach, he's been a big factor for them so far, as well as Daniel Schroeder. Schroeder has 4 points in 2 games played as well. A few Oak Park boys on this list too, and Sudowski and Ross, as they have 4 points each in their first few games in this season. Moving on to the Winnipeg Free Press Division, the J.H. Bruns Broncos, they start off 2-0, but both of those wins coming in extra time. 11 goals for, 9 goals against so far. Only 2 teams, as mentioned, that haven't gotten going yet are the Dakota Lancers and the Springfield Sabres. As for Dakota, that changes today. They'll be in Sanford to take on the Sanford Sabres, as the St. John's Ravens court Eagles. They'll be looking to bounce back after an ugly opener for them, losing 8-2 on Wednesday to last year's Price Division champions in College Louis-Riel. But as for J.H. Bruns, as we can see here, both of their games going into overtime, a 4-3 victory to start things off, and then a 7-6 win 2 days ago against Stonewall. J.H. Bruns has had the pleasure of playing both of their first 2 games of the season at home as well. Definitely nice for them to be able to do so. Calvin with a big win, 7-0 over Churchill. And then CPET, look at how they bounced back against this division's finalists last year in the CSLR Renards, aka Leo Remillard, 8-3 yesterday in that game. We were supposed to broadcast, but 4 games on tap today in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League's Winnipeg Free Press division. For the full schedule, be sure to check out winnipeghshl.ca. The stats leaders to start things off here, as there's quite a few players tied with 3 points each. That's why we're showing so many players in this division. But the standout so far got to be Logan Barnaby for Gaprois. 5 goals in a single game. Are you kidding me? Luca Tatro almost did something similar. 1 goal shy of 5, scoring 4 in that opening win against the St. John's Ravens court Eagles. As it's nice to see how many players have been contributing here so far. CPET with quite a few players in this top 19. And then finally on to the Price Division, the Niverville Nighthawks, who not the Niverville Nighthawks, but Niverville, 2-0 to start off the season. 11-4 is their goals for goals against stats, as we can see there. They got a +7 differential to start off, and they also came out in some new threads in their home opener to start off this week. They took down Linden Christian in their first game of the season. As we take a look at the schedule here, 4-3 last Thursday in Winnipeg at South Winnipeg Community Center. Niverville with a big win over Lundar in their home opener. Lorette, of course, with that 3-0 victory over John Taylor. And then Linden Christian bouncing back from their first loss of the season against Lundar at Maples Multiplex. In terms of the rest of the week here in the Price Division, they're the only division that won't be playing Friday games this week, as they're going to get rolling again with quite a few games coming up on Tuesday, as well as 2 on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday, and 1 on Friday. And Lactabonia's Pinawa is going to be taking on Linden Christian. The only teams that haven't gotten going so far, well, quite a bit, as there's about 6 or 7 teams that have yet to play games there, as we take a look at the standings one last time. And in terms of the points leaders, it's Anderson Fisher for Linden Christian with 6 points in the 2 games played so far. Ryan Schmeltz for Niverville, 5 points in 2 games played. Not as big of a list as Winnipeg Free Press divisions, as we take a look at the top 10 points leaders right now in the Division 3 Price Division in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. As, yeah, that's about going to do it for this edition of Scholastics. Thank you so much for tuning in to this one. We're going to be back next Friday. Not sure exactly when yet. We may even do the podcast from Hockey for All Center, but not entirely sure as of yet. Details will officially be coming out on our Instagram, as well as we are also starting to post on X again. Just got access to our account back. Not sure if any of you are on that platform, but that's where you can find us, as well as on Facebook. I believe some of our posts, or our posts that we post from G Show Productions on Instagram, end up getting posted to there too. We're also going to be starting up our TikTok account again soon, so a lot of moving parts for us. There's going to be a lot of hype this afternoon, though, as we're going to be in attendance to broadcast College Béliveau taking on College Jean Sauvé in a big rivalry matchup in Béliveau's home opener this season. Check out the Winnipeg High School Hockey League's website to find the links to access our Winnipeg High School Hockey League game day broadcasts. And also be sure to check out their website for the upcoming games, the schedule, stats, standings, whatever else. But we're going to keep you up to date on all of those great things as the season goes along here. We'll have updates in episode 7 on how this past week of action ended up going, and also how next week has ended up starting off. We'll have news from the start of the Sturgeon Heights Husky Classic as well, and yeah, a whole lot of other stuff coming out soon here on the network. Be sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all things Winnipeg High School Hockey League. Thank you to Elite Prospects as well as Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Terrico, Movement Fitness and Performance, and Goaltenders for sponsoring another edition of this show. And until episode 7, everybody, I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth. Peacing out and waving so long. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Enjoy all the great hockey that is going to be coming your way, I guess, just thinking about it. Of course, no weekend games played in the High School Hockey League, but enjoy any other hockey you may be catching this weekend, and have a safe one, as always. Take care, everybody.